did you get a proper document for multiple documents already?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many documents did you write? Just one? One. Okay. When it's ready, just put it on Facebook and then I can get it printed out for the next session. It says that the Saudi coalition has delayed their attack on the data to what would be coming 86 due to bad weather. So you have an extra session to prevent that from happening. Was there any directives or events that I haven't answered that I said I would answer? No? No? Okay, then, yeah, China, can you upload the document then?
And just,
Yeah.
they did it.
Is that uploaded now? So everybody should be able to read it now. Yeah. So it's there. Is Diana here? No, it's probably outside. Can you print the document for me?
Okay, which one?
Yeah, I'll give you a USB stick.
Alicia still sleeping? Alicia hasn't worked yet. Do you think he's still asleep? Alicia, Italy. Do you think he's still asleep? He arrived at about 3 o'clock this morning. I let him in. He would be in the way for that. Because I was having lovely sleep and I heard the snoring.
Maybe he went back to Italy.
But yeah, he's been recalled. He said he did something wrong, so his government called him back to sleep.
So it would be the documents you call draft plus Chinese. Yeah, just file copy. Okay.
There's not any spelling mistakes now, we're writing in. There aren't any spelling mistakes now, we're
I
writing
would, guess it's something that is also just like senior official format, I would say. That's and of the UK dress, but
Oh, they've got several ones.
I tested this. Now you also, I'm not sure, but we are, but I think we are a bit late on project.
So is there any points for motion right now? Or should I just grant time to read the PR first? I'll just grant time to read the PR first. So it's 5 minutes for reading this. When you really calling for an honesty market on the United Kingdom, the United States, China, Djibouti, Eritrea, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and multiple other countries in possible. Did I read that properly? Okay.
I'm going to have another word.
this discuss is open for discussion. It also includes, and either side of the conflict is probably not included, or we shouldn't include the legitimate government as states. They're providing the only chance for them to defend themselves. Yeah.
You realize China, you're calling for an embargo on yourself as well, right?
A cross pause open for men.
Whether or not you're only military, you're not giving combat support. If you're not giving combat support, so not to yourself, but
But as far as
they're giving not combat support.
yeah, which is fine. So we are just talking about what's
But in these laws,
Okay, so everybody read it? Can I get some feedback? Has everybody read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anybody who still needs some time? Nobody needs more time? Ah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. Right. Okay. We will have a Saudi Arabian transition to the road statement soon, so I'm not sure if that means probably. Yeah, that's it. So please rise for the enacting next. Please welcome. No. But please welcome to the Saudi Arabian transition. I'm not sure if he has been briefed on this yet. No, I think I have to be here a minute. So just give me 2 minutes. So that's all. Good morning. Okay, so Saudi Arabia.
Sorry.
So please hear the Saudi Arabian position.
Mr. President, members of the Security Council, thank you for being allowed to make this statement. I've just been called in after being informed of the rather distressing news that the Security Council is about to pass a resolution which will extend, renew, and add even more sanctions to countries such as my own, which is Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kingdom of Jordan, Qatar, and other countries in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, we do believe that such a way forward is wrong for a number of reasons. First of all, put yourself in our shoes. We are defending our brother nations. NATO expects its partners to stand up for each other. European Union expects its partners to stand up for each other. No one is ever going to condemn Germany supporting the government of France in defending their country and defending their own rights. Why do you take the right to condemn Saudi Arabia standing with their Yemeni brothers? Why do you condemn the United Arab Emirates standing with their Yemeni brothers? Why do you condemn the Qatari kingdom standing with their Yemeni brothers and so many others? Why should we not stand with our brothers? Also, is it really helpful? Let's be honest, we have the oil. You need the oil. What are all your nice resolutions going to do? They're not going to ruin us. Yes, they are not good for us. We hate them. They actually hinder progress in our country. But they're not going to cripple us. Look at Dubai, one of the most modern cities in the world. Look at Riyadh, a flourishing city. Look at many, many other cities, Amman in Jordan, for example. Us Arab countries have been on the receiving end of your shameful and disgraceful resolutions for many decades, and we are still standing. Do you really think another resolution is going to bring us to our knees? Don't be ridiculous. This post-colonial imperialism by Western nations, United States of America,
The Russian part applies to them as well.
okay, the Russian Federation, obviously, right.
Because I'm an imperialist Western power.
Yes.
Sorry, break.
Okay, thank you for pointing out who's my ally in this committee. Please disregard the last comment I made. Anyway, some powers, no matter where they might be on the global stage, they're certainly probably just to the north and perhaps west or east or south of me. Anyway, other countries and powers that are infringing on our sovereignty and our rights. Let's be honest. Is this really about helping the people of Yemen? Or is this about you ascertaining your right to do away with sovereignty of such lesser nations as Saudi Arabia? Who are they? Well, let's be honest. We are strong countries, and you're not going to bring us to our knees.
try it, but it's childish. Thank you, Mr. President.
It's another time to really open a couple of questions.
Cool.
So y'all get out of questions. Friends.
Okay, am I supposed to stand here? Okay, thank you, Honorable Delegate of Saudi Arabia, to come up with motivational, inspirational speech. And the question of France, the Security Council adopted a resolution against Saudi Arabia because of the certain reasons that actually going against the Yemeni civilians. Your attacks and bombings of Saudi Arabia, and because of them, the population and civilians of Yemen are suffering. And you attacked, and there are 3 cases when you attacked the schools and shops within the Yemen. And how would you comment on that? And probably you understand that we are adopting the resolution.
This is a question or is this a statement?
This is the question. How would you comment?
Let me just simply ask the delegate of France if he can give me the number of civilians killed by French fighters in Mali, Libya, and Syria. Thank you.
No. Ukraine, right?
My question to the delegate of Saudi Arabia is, you mentioned that you are protecting your brotherhood in Yemen, and there is 2 parties which are all Muslim. So it means that 2 parties, the Houthis and the Ahmadis, both of them are Muslim. It means both of them are your brotherhood. Why you are supporting one?
May I say to the delegate of Ukraine that on purpose I did not use the word Muslim brothers. Of course, both parties are Muslims, so we cannot go by religious affiliation here.
But you
would you,
brotherhood means,
yes, wouldn't you say that the European Union is a form of brotherhood? And the European Union has Muslim majority countries in it as well. We are saying we have a certain obligation to support our partners in the region. And there is a rightful government in Yemen, and there are rebel groups. And we side with the rightful government.
China.
Thank you, Delegate of Saudi Arabia, for your statement, especially for pointing out that some countries here try to get the Western standards on the Arabic countries, and I guess you're right in this. However, we just got in an official UN briefing. We heard that your defense.
It's Major General Ahmad Assini.
Yeah, good guy, yes. I had lunch yesterday.
Then he not only violated international law, but also your own law and acted against his own chain of command. So are there any actions to expect from the Saudi government, as we're talking about a resolution that actually could freeze all his assets and a travel ban, which didn't pass. However, we expect the Saudi government to react on his violation of several laws, and also including killing innocent citizens on the border of Saudi Arabia.
If you're going to share the UN secret report that apparently has been passed around with us, and give us time to read it and react to it, we're obviously going to investigate, and if he's broken laws, he's going to be punished accordingly. And certainly you cannot make the Saudi Arabian government responsible for the general not respecting, as you said, the chain of command. If he bypassed the chain of command, you can't tell the commanders it's their fault that he bypassed the chain of command. If you bring that to our attention, and it has not been brought to my attention yet, but I'm sure the relevant authorities have been contacted, and they will investigate, and there will be decisive action, obviously.
So, okay, just so you know, I will look other questions, but you're going into your lunchtime. I will go on question.
Okay. The delegation of Japan don't understand why you not standing for peaceful negotiations. We see that Houthis have a support in Yemen, and you can destroy it all. And also, you must understand that people of Yemen choose own way, and this own way can be only in Yemen territory. And when Saudi Arabia or another country involved to this territory, you influence on their own choice. And maybe it's the wrong way for negotiations with these people, because it's an advantage for terrorists like ISIS. But we see that Saudi Arabia made nothing for combating ISIS in this territory.
Thank you for your very long speech. We deeply resent the accusation that we're not doing anything to combat ISIS. We are committed with fighters on the ground and in the air to combating ISIS. First point. Second point, whilst we deeply love our Muslim brother countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan and others, we are called Saudi Arabia and not Arabistan. And thirdly, we'd like to say on the issue of why don't we negotiate until we find a peace. In 1945, Japan was not ready to negotiate peace, and when their resistance was finally crushed, unfortunately through a bomb, they were ready to negotiate a peace, and it's lasted ever since. Maybe you've got to crush overly confident rebels first, before you can find a lasting peace.
Thank you. Russia.
Very briefly, both the special envoy for the Secretary General in Yemen, also the Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and our Emergency Relief Coordinator have all, as well as the panel of experts, I might add up, a 5-person panel of experts created by this council in one of its resolutions a few years ago. All of them have concluded that a military response is not going to solve this crisis, it's only a political one to solve this crisis. The sides are so equally balanced, with Saudi Arabian support on the side of the Hadi government, with other elements on the international scene supporting the Houthi rebels. There is apparently no military response. Are you refuting the claim of our panel of experts appointed by this council, of our special envoy appointed by our Secretary General, of our Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs also appointed by our Secretary General, or will you stand by their comments?
Thank you for being so considerate to stand up to answer that question, and also being so brief. As you commented, it just shows your great consideration and respect for Saudi Arabia, which spoke out of every word you mentioned in your last speech there. Yes, we are aware of those lovely reports by people who sit here in New York and elsewhere and travel around the world and think they always know how to do things. We are totally aware that people would not like the government that Saudi Arabia and other Arabian countries like and back to stay in power, and therefore would rather like to have the weak rebels negotiate any deal that goes way beyond what they could indeed possibly hope for if the United Nations did not intervene. Yes, we agree, if you keep fighting us there won't be a military solution easily, but if uninvolved countries actually stayed out of it, the result would be pretty obvious, I think.
Any last question?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank the delegate of Saudi Arabia for his visit and also reassure the lasting support by the UK to Saudi Arabia and the Saudi-led coalition.
Say hi to Boris, please.
Excuse me?
Say hi to Boris Johnson, please.
Oh, very well. He will be very pleased to hear that. And therefore, I'm also sure, of course, Saudi Arabia has a big interest in a secure and stable Yemen. And as we are trying to establish the secure access for humanitarian aid, I'm also confident that Saudi Arabia will cooperate in possible measures to establish humanitarian corridors to enter for UN humanitarian cooperations to bring humanitarian aid to the civilians in all parts of Yemen.
We obviously support humanitarian aid to civilians. At the same time, we obviously stand with the international agreement, the international common understanding, that's what I was looking for, that we should not give humanitarian aid to terrorist groups. We've got to make sure humanitarian aid only goes to true civilians, and we are not actually financing, supporting, feeding fighters who then blow up our brothers, Muslim brothers oftentimes, in those countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, one more question. So thank you, delegates of Saudi Arabia. You may go back to. So we have lunch for an hour. When you come back, yeah, we'll have the resolution on wage and desks. Thank you. Yeah, as I said, the bad weather, we'll move out the data next session. Fortunately, because that would be very tragic, so that would postpone it to what the kickoff is in the evening 6 at 4:30 p.m. This should now be the main working document of the council. Everything else, the immediate actions, last actions, or directives, like what I just got, are still in order, but the main document is this one now. Press statements are more than welcome because that may influence the decision making among parties and facilitate acceptance of conditions or peace talks and so on. Otherwise, yeah. So we break for lunch in 1 hour. Please be back on time. Right?
It's on time.
Yeah, 5 past, we'll be back by